Oh boy, I cannot believe it's this time of year already. Well, here is the first of many videos I'm going to be putting up this December, and it is all of my kind of year-end wrap-up stuff. I'll include a link below for the video where I kind of explain my schedule a little bit and the types of videos I'm doing and what my general idea for this month is. But as with many YouTubers, I'm just going to be summarizing my reading year for you because for some reason I think you guys care. And the first video here is my DNFs of 2020. As I kind of explained last year when I did this video, I don't put down a lot of books. I typically will trudge through even if I end up giving a book a low rating, because there's just like this weird competitive part of me that just doesn't let me put books down easily. I'm working on it. My list is 2 or 3 longer than it was last year, and I didn't have to think that hard to figure out which books I'd put down. But this year, I want to add an extra challenge to you guys tuning into this video. I have my list of DNFs, but if there's any that you particularly love and you would like to see me finish reading, please leave a comment below, and I will see what I can do about picking it up. There's only one where I'm pretty sure I won't, so you might have to have a very convincing argument to get me to pick it up again. The first book that I DNF'd this year is my most recent DNF, to be fair. It is The Masterpiece by Fiona Davis, and I'm actually really shocked I'm saying this because I read The Lions of Fifth Avenue back at the end of September, I think it was, and I was head over heels for that story, and I immediately binged over October and then over November the rest of her books. This was one of the last ones I had to read, and this is the only one I struggled with. There's just something about Virginia Clay, who's kind of like the present day character in this one, that I just really struggled to connect to in any meaningful way. I found myself skimming her sections of the book rather than like reading and listening to them. And I definitely, because I've enjoyed so many of Fiona Davis's other books, I do want to pick this one up again at some point. I just am struggling to justify it right now because I'm feeling myself getting ready to go into a reading slump, which is not good because I have a 1,000-page book to read for the beginning of this month, or for the beginning of December, and it's November now still, but I'm getting a little anxious about it. The second DNF I had this year was The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin, and I read the first book in the Broken Earth trilogy by her and loved it. It was one of a surprise book for me last year, even if it didn't make my list. It was a surprise book. And I picked up the second book in that series and struggled with it, and I thought maybe switching series would help. But I timed it poorly and picked it up right as I hit a reading slump, kind of at the end of April. And I just didn't get back to it. I definitely feel like I could get into this one easily. I do have the audiobook of it, so it'd be really easy for me to kind of push through a little bit more, for lack of a better term, because I really do love N.K. Jemisin's writing, and the characters she introduces are always super interesting. I think I just have to be not in a reading slump in order to enjoy it. My third DNF this year is One of Us Is Next. It's the sequel to One of Us Is Lying, and I loved One of Us Is Lying, and I also read Two Can Keep a Secret and really enjoyed that as well. And so I was shocked when I had to put this down. I kind of read it and Two Can Keep a Secret kind of simultaneously, and there's just something about this book that just about killed me, because it was bringing in characters I'd kind of already met, and then also bringing back characters that I'd fallen in love with in the first book. So I had all these characters that I wanted to know more about, but it was focused on this entirely different set of characters who still had ties to these other characters. It's made me super angry because I didn't care about the new cast that they had coming in. I wanted to know what happened with the people that I left after the first book finished, and I wasn't getting that, and it was just making me really irritated. And part of the reason I was irritated is I do like Karen M. McManus's writing, and it was just reading it so closely after I finished the first one, I think was a huge mistake, and it's probably the only one I'm hesitant to pick up at all. My fourth DNF was Prodigy by Marie Lu. I read the first book in the series, which I think is called Legend, and I didn't hate it. So, and I decided, like, maybe I was like, I can listen to the next book. But I started it. There was a bunch of teenage angst. I think I only got like 30% of the way through. And there was just too much teenage angst by the time I got into the second book, and I couldn't do it. Maybe sometime in the near future, but honestly, I've really been struggling with the YA genre lately. Especially the ones that are aimed more at teenagers than young adults, because I've really been struggling to connect with a lot of the characters. Because when it comes right down to it, sometimes I'm just like, that's a dumb teenager decision, and I have a really hard time getting past it. I know teenage Nikki would have loved it, but adult Nikki not so much. And my fifth and final DNF is one that I definitely want to pick up again, and it is Children of Virtue and Vengeance by Toni Adeyemi. And the reason I put it down was because I picked it up too long after I read the first book, because the world that she makes in the first book is really expansive, and I had a really hard time remembering enough detail to feel really comfortable moving forward in the story. So even though I was actively enjoying the story I was listening to, because I picked this up as an audiobook, I really need to reread the first book before I do this. So if you do vote for this book, keep in mind that you are asking me to read 2 books. I will willingly do it, but it's a 2-book load by reading this one, because I will have to pick up the first one immediately before I pick up the second one. And that's really all I DNF'd this year. So I think that's 1, 2, 3, maybe more than I DNF'd last year, but yeah, I'm proud of myself for starting to actually put books down. I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you enjoy this Christmas season of videos that I will be putting out for you.